winner's side of the bracket against Loud. So a little bit of the America's pride, if you will, coming into this one here. Hopefully R7 will be able to complete the sweep against the Vietnam champions. But we'll jump into picks and bans straight away. Already we're seeing big priority onto things like the Rumble, the Orianna, the big team fighters, if you will.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see the Orianna finally kind of getting banned away, the respect given that's due to it, because we actually haven't seen it a huge amount coming into this. Akali has also been permabanned against Movistar R7 by PSG Talent, so I'm curious to see if that one is going to try and continue. Very strong pick in the mid lane for them, but already Maokai taken away. So a lot of these big bans already off the tables. Your two big tanky junglers in the Sejuani, the Maokai gone, which means we start to see things like the Lee Sin and that start to rise up. And there is that Akali ban that we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just something that I feel like is always going to be banned against the side of R7. You're never really going to let that Akali kind of go away from you. But it does see a huge priority now on that big engaged tool, which is the Rel. Can be a bit of a flex. You can see a jungle that can go in the bot lane. Are expecting it to be in the bot lane, considering you have just given over the Lovers duo of the Xayah and the Rakan.
And this is actually where I disagree with the priority here. I think Xayah is just so good in that bot lane. Good matchup into the Kai'Sa. We've seen Kai'Sa really struggle up against that. And as well, then you kind of have your own self-peel, which is absolutely perfect. So on the opposite side for R7, they are essentially taking what happened with PSG Talent, going, hey, look, we actually want to try and steal that style and use it against GAM here. Try and go for these big circles with Jarvan. Nico also probably going to be highly prioritized here for Miru. And then you've got such a good engage and strong front line that you can then reposition very effectively on this Kai'Sa.
All right, GAM trying to figure out where they want to try to take this last pick. They might try and give some to Kiaya, make sure he has some kind of priority up against Bong on that top side, and exactly what they do. They pick up the Cassante. Again, just kind of a general solid pick all in all, realistically. Can carry, we've seen him do multiple times, get solo kills against big carries in these team fights.
Well, that's the thing. Bong has actually been a player who's willing to bring out some of these carry picks, though, like the Jax and that. So I'm curious if we end up seeing something like Gwen maybe even going in towards that top side, or if he just wants to match tank with tank and kind of leaving Miru and Seo to be those big damage dealers. But it does open up that opportunity. But there we go. We talked about it. The Nico taken away from Miru. GAM kind of realizing, hey, look, these big wombo combo comps are becoming way too much of a hazard in play-ins.
Yeah, big Venn diagrams, as we've discussed so far in our lectures on the Champion Select, have definitely been the theme of this particular week. But I like what R7 are doing now, kind of saying, look, we got the Jarvan in early. We know we have the early priority. Let's take away things that can match that. Things like the Lee Sin now off the board.
Also, Viego probably going to be taken away here. That was the other one that we saw OD play the last time around. And then you're kind of drifting right the way down into kind of unknown territory at that stage. So curious to see maybe even the Nocturne actually against Levi, to be fair. Levi has always been an incredibly strong Nocturne player, and it does open up some opportunities for Kati to play some unusual things that can be synergized with them. But we'll have to see as we start to go through. Miru not going to get his hands on his Ahri. That is by far and away his best performing champion, so not fully surprised to see that taken off the board.
The Vi is going to be the last ban here from R7, so respecting the point and click CC, something that can just kind of find champion, kill champion. You don't really want to combo that up with something like a Cassante and a Rakan, especially if you're a Kai'Sa. You're just going to be so exposed if you get caught out by that.
Yeah, and now I'm curious to see exactly what the plan is here for GAM. Taliyah could be an option here if they really wanted to go towards it, so you can set yourself up in the mid lane and kind of take that away from Miru. Has a good opportunity to try and keep some of these playmakers off you, like the Jarvan, like this Flag and Drag. But actually, I get the Wukong coming through. So Levi, this was a champion that he played a lot domestically and was something that he was more than willing to bring out despite the nerfs. Now that Wukong's got some buffs, we'll have to see how Levi can try and perform here up against Odie.
See what he can do. Right now, it just feel like building themselves for that big team fight to enable Slater to be that carry with the Xayah. You've got so much engage, and now the Gwen gets locked in. Should, I say that in quotation marks, have priority over the Cassante. But as we saw yesterday, if you put enough resource in that top lane, she will fall.
Yeah, and I think that's where you kind of got to go, right, can we actually manage that? There is an opportunity here if you are Levi to try and play heavily up around that top side, but the problem is you've already got like good priority picks onto the bot lane with the Xayah Rakan, so you don't have as many options to play around that. And the blind Sylas coming in here, I think this is a relatively okay read where you can actually go, hey, there's a lot of the champions like the Azir and stuff like that are going to be okay to try and play up against. Syndra, not so much though. You actually have a ton of range, you've got good opportunity to continue to poke him down, and even having the opportunity to slam him away with Scout of the Week makes that matchup a little bit more difficult than I think Miru was bargaining for.
Yeah, and as well as that, yes, the Unleash Power is a good ultimate to kind of seal away, but outside of that, maybe the quickness, that's about it, really.
Yeah, well, the problem is with the unleashed power, you want as many orbs on the ground as possible before you use it. You don't have ways to generate those orbs of size. The thing is, though, I'm almost certain you can use Syndra's orbs against her. So it's kind of like a battling back and forth. I could be wrong with that, but I think you can. But it still means, as you say, like, you're kind of looking for a Wukong ultimate, maybe a Cassante ultimate to steal something out, Rakan ultimate, but as you say, there isn't a huge amount of big ultimates where I'm like, oh yeah, this is the thing that you want to go for.
Absolutely. Well, the teams are locked and loaded, I will say now. Kind of pretty much what we expected when we did kind of, look at these two teams. They're very happy with what they've built up for themselves, basically kind of saying to themselves, look, we know where our priority is. We're going to be looking towards R7 when there's Jarvan to kind of catch people out, get that early aggression going that we've seen so often so far this play-ins. And on the other side, it's kind of about the Xayah. If the Xayah is able to stay alive and kind of keep herself safe, she's going to be in a huge amount of priority to kill off all these champions that are diving on her face.
And that's why I think you're right, Oisin. The Jarvan is the big one that I'm keeping my eyes on. Can you get these cataclysms that are locking up the Syndra, locking up the Xayah, making it easy then for the follow-up with Sylas and Gwen to get in onto these carries and actually try and devastate them? Because if not, I feel like you've actually got a really strong front to back coming through for GAM with this Syndra and everything else in tow.
Shall wait no longer. Jumping onto the Rift for the first game of this best of 3 elimination match. Remember, you lose this best of 3, your season is done. That is it, full stop, end of sentence. So you have to leave everything on the Rift. If you're gonna go out in a blaze of glory. And now Levi, he might be in a bit of trouble here. He gets CC'd down and he's gonna have to use a little bit of a dash. They got him to damage, the Night Ticking not quite able to get him. But now he's at the start with the decoy, and he lost his flash. Yeah,
that's a disaster for Levi. He's really going to struggle to try and clear his jungle. Plus, with the late reset coming through, I think he'll just about get back where his team will be able to help him clear, but it's not the start that you want at all. So, nicely done by R7. And that's something that we see a little bit popping up whenever you have the Rel in tow. It's like, hey, we can try and invade on top side. Rel can come over the wall with the crash down and try and make life a bit of a living hell for the enemy opposition.
Well, they earned themselves the flash of Levi. Of course, you can, don't forget to log in and watch on lolesports.com. You can earn exclusive Worlds 2023 drops like emotes and icons. And you can get yourself something for free as well.
Well, they did get Levi for free, so I suppose it's...
They didn't quite get him for free. They almost got him for free, but not quite.
And all right, let me rephrase it. This is probably setting up a bit of a free early stages for OD.
Yes.
Right? You have better clear now because Levi, as you can see, very slow going to be to get through his jungle because you don't have access to the E, which is your AoE on that first clear. Also, you want access to your Q because these are your two big damage dealers, so not having them means it's not going to be as effective whatsoever. So this will give the Jarvan a bit more of an opportunity. And even if Levi tries to show up for a couple of these early ganks, he could then be the focus. Like the knock-ups without a flash are very hard to try and get away from. So I'll be curious to see how Levi wants to try and respond to this. He will also be spotted as he starts to move up towards his top side with a ward on his red.
So we're going to go for there. Of course, we have the first strike in mid lane for Kati, so it's going to try and basically abuse that range versus melee matchup that you were discussing as well. Shouldn't be too hard, to be perfectly honest, unless we have some kind of jungle innovation from Audi. We won't see too much there. Level 2 hit in the bot side by the side of R7. Lions, unfortunately, did go a little bit too close to the tower, so took a tower shot for his efforts. But at the end of it all, still pushing in favor of R7. And Seo, definitely someone to keep an eye on. The man was doing exceptionally good work here in Worlds play-ins and also at MSI. He was kind of the big carry at that time as well.
I'm curious to see what Levi's chances are on top side, because I'm looking at his clear. Skipped Gromp, skipped his Raptors, and it looks like he's maybe considering a play on towards the top side, but I don't think they got the freeze on towards the top lane play as Kiai was trying to fight for that. So looks like he's going to try and work his way back down towards his bot side and just try and desync from Odie, so they're not going to be on the same crab or in the same position at once. But Odie now either mid or might even spot out Levi on this.
I don't think he wants to spot out Levi. He wants to go for that mid lane, maybe get that flash out of him. So yeah, it's going to go straight in. Going to look to try and maybe land the chains. Knock up is good. They're getting the damage down. There's a good red buff there as well. Flash forward, another flash. The red buff is ticking. Miriu does pick up that kill. Will level up to keep him safe and healthy, and that could be huge against Levi, who's trying to turn this one around. The knockup is decent. No flash. Looking to try and decoy it out, but he just can't. And everybody gets a level up to keep them alive. R7 2-0.
That was disgusting. The fact they both leveled up in that play to get the double kill. It's a disaster for GAM, and it's flashback backs to MSI for the VCS #1 seed.
Oh, not a good start there for GAM, but great from R7. And honestly, just great from Audi and Miru to kind of recognize how much damage and how much tankiness they had to go for that play.
Also the fact that both those kills went over to Miru. Like, a lot of the
Huge.
problems that you have in these early stages of Silas is, hey, look, I'm trying to farm out, but I got to use my chain lash to get a lot of that farm. Makes it very difficult for me to try and like keep my mana in check. Access to a very early lost chapter means that he's not going to have any of those mana issues anymore and should be able to spam spells really effectively, trade a lot more effectively with the chain lash as well. It just makes things so much easier.
You can see now on the top side, Kiaya, I was going to say one more snip, and he would have been in serious danger. This is the kind of snowball effect right now, because not only are you losing those 2 kills in the mid lane, but now Kati doesn't have his flash. Now you're going to have to be very aware with level 6 is coming on the board that he's going to be very exposed if he's not too careful.
Yeah, big win across the board here for R7. Now the pressure is on Levi again to be like, hey, look, bud, you got to try and make that impact happen. But when Odie is already kind of ahead of you, that can be a major issue. So I think for Levi, it's a case of let's try and wait for level 6, use the fact that we have flash advantage now because Odie used it in this play. But you can see here, like, chain lash to get the slow, the knockback not actually stopping Odie on the flag and drag was so sad. Odie as well being an absolute bro to tank those turret shots from Miru, and then that level up coming through as well just actually gives them enough damage. So you get the extra ability point in towards your Q, which means that chain lash is doing that little bit more, and then Odie with the level up at the last second as well. Such smart play from Miru to turn onto the minions immediately.
I've got a little bit of criticism there for Kati. They saw the ward going down immediately because they pinged it. So they knew that Jarvan was in the area and he just didn't pay immediate respect, which led to his death. So, I mean, it's those little small moments that can lead you to a pretty bad situation. And Pallet definitely didn't want to be taking that particular trade as he almost goes down to himself. But a good push in here from R7's bot lane means they're going to have pretty decent priority over this dragon should they want to take it.
I mean, at this stage, you're kind of just controlling the map entirely. So R7 GAM, 1,000 gold down already at the 6-minute mark. And I think, again, it's a case of, right, well, how do we try and unlock this? And a lot of it is going to be trying again to play through your weak point, which is Kati, which is why Odie, again, already here, just working off of Miru's pressure in the mid lane to get vision down, spot out where Levi might be. Levi is invading on towards the top side, but will maybe steal away a camp, but I don't think he can really dive a level 6 Gwen. It becomes very tough when you don't have access to enough CC.
A level 6 Gwen would also steal caps, so like that's perfect kind of defensive itemization just to try and go. I have movement speed and I'm reducing your auto attacks from both the Cassante and the Wukong, so not really an ideal situation. Just a little bit of vision to make sure that they knew. Actually didn't even drop any vision, to be perfectly honest. Just kind of went to see if they maybe could go for something, but nothing was really on the cards. And now we wait to see, but level 6 is coming on board here for the solo laners and almost for the junglers as well, where the next kind of big move is going to come.
I will say, I think you've got a bit of a missed opportunity here for Odie and Miru where they haven't revisited mid lane. I think enough safety played by Kati to not actually shove out the waves and just let the waves crash into the turret has kind of helped out. But I would have loved to see them try and punish the Syndra while their flash is down. Now, there is an argument to say, hey, wait for level 6, but realistically, the flash is going to be back up for Syndra as that level 6 gets hit for Odie. So unless they can try and make some sort of play here just before it comes back up, that could be an opportunity, but I think Rift Child is going to be the next port of call.
Nice little Void Seeker from Seo, just to make sure they're not getting wrapped upon the bot side. It's level 5s here for both these bot lanes. They do not land the Stretching Strike onto the Xayah. Crash down from Leon, just to make sure nothing else crazy happens. There's a lot of posturing here between Slater, Pallet, and Aseo, and of course Lions, but for now, they're happy to kind of wait for things, because the big thing I feel like is once they hit that level 6, if you're ever isolated as an AD carry in this lane, you are going to get jumped on.
Complete tangent. Is the Rel's Q called Stretching Strike?
No, it's not. I'm completely
okay, I was like, that sounds like a Flex Armstrong move.
And you know what? You're right, it is, because it's actually...
there we go.
We're going to see them try and jump in now. There's still going to be the crash down, trying to get a bit of CC. Nice cleanse there from Slater. Means he's able to get the auto attacks down and picks up something back for GAM in that bot side.
Yeah, I mean, nicely done by GAM. I think R7 were expecting Odie to be there that little bit quicker, but not in the position. Big win. Bot lane now going in your favor. Slater getting some of that early success means that he'll be able to punish this lane even more than you usually do against Kai'Sa. Plus get Dragon off the back of it is going to be easy pickings now for GAM.
Yeah, Stretching Strike is Zac. Yeah, that's where I was getting it from. So it happens, but now that you got that bot lane going in and you're able to pick up that kill, does open up that first dragon for the side of GAM. So despite the early start, they have been a been able to calm it down, you know, not get too flustered or too frustrated with the whole situation. And they are feeling a little bit more confident, I would say, kind of moving forward in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I think it's try and play through where your strength is, which is going to be on this bottom side of the map. Like, trying to make sure that you can actually play through Slater, use the advantage he has now. Because they played for Dragon, it does mean that R7 are able to move up towards this Rift Herald. And I don't know what GAM are already thinking, if they want to try and go for something here.
Yeah, they're going to look for something. Trying to see if they can maybe contest. Hard to do it, though, with the quickness being stolen or hijacked by Miru. And Seo trying to see if he can maybe go for a 1v1 in that bot side. Not to be, but for now it is just going to be a trade of objectives. The Dragon first went down to GAM. The Rift Herald now goes over to R7.
Yeah, you'll get a replay here. Palace hiding in the bush, catches out lines as they go in, and even though they don't actually get the CC, Leon goes in to try and get the crash down, but completely whiffs, which just puts him into such a precarious spot. They follow Pallet now in the mid lane, though, trying to see what he can pick up here.
He can maybe go for a bit of a quickness here. The Unleashed power is good, and he doesn't even need his support. Kati knows the numbers, and they look good.
Yeah, even with the 2 kills going across early, you can still see how difficult this matchup is. Kati just continuously able to put the hurt down and get the damage there. Really good stuff from GAM. And again, we were kind of saying, hey, look, R7, great start. You're getting the 2 kills in mid, you're getting control over bot side, but it's now starting to fall apart.
Oh, there's Levi as well on the top side. Bong going to try his absolute best, but he knows he's dead to rights. Does not use his flash, but does mean he's going to lose a huge amount of weight. They do know the Wukong is in top side, but I mean, it's a Xayah Rakan. Even you see Pallet there kind of saying, look, I'm going to go aggressive because I know there's nothing you can do against me.
Yeah, at that stage, you can even see Sale wasn't entirely sure what the game plan was from Pallet. Like, is he going to use the quickness and immediately jump on towards the Kaisa and then GAM try and turn it around? It's really hard to try and play aggressive in these matchups when you've got so much opportunity to turn those plays back in your favor. Odie now moving down towards the bot side has Rift Herald, and I think you'd like to get Sale some early gold, even having the push here from Mira in the mid lane. This could be a dive they're trying to set up, but the wave is crashing that a little bit too soon, so they turn to Levi.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can maybe just stop any support from coming down here. You can see Kati and Levi slowly moving their way down towards that bot side to cover for their bot lane, but it's being cut off altogether by Miru and Audi. Not going to lead into anything else from that, and funny enough, we can see those 2 kills leading to big advantages in terms of the item completions there. You got Kati finishing up the Leandri's Anguish, and of course the Jack Show for the Cassante as well, but I mean, this is just Miru just really not respecting the damage at all.
Yeah, he uses the E to try and dodge away from the initial orb and thinks, oh cool, now we can clear out the wave quickly. I'll probably take a ton of damage back away, but doesn't expect that much. And then on top side as well, great knockback from Kiaya, means that he just sets up perfectly for Bong. And same idea, Bong just playing that little bit too far up. Could have let that wave crash into him if you really wanted to.
Yeah, really, really could. But come back in, and now GAM got themselves a little bit of a gold lead. You can see there that on the total damage is belonging by R7, but I mean, putting damage into Cassante in lane doesn't really mean a lot, to be perfectly honest.
And I think, again, it's kind of Odie being a little bit quiet coming into this one. Like, the initial play in towards mid was really good. We got him over towards the Rift Herald, but we haven't really seen him follow up on anything. Looks like they're going to try and rotate bot lane up towards top, use this Rift Herald, and maybe see if they can look for a dive on towards Kiaya, but flash up, not quite having his ult available, could help out a little bit, but it will at least get some plates for sale here.
Does have the Jack Show as well. So tanky at these early stages there. 12 minutes only on the clock, but they're going to look for something. They're going to look for this Cassante. Come one, come all. See if you can take him down. They're going to throw a TP here as well. It's going to be answered, so Kati will be joining back in on top of this one here. The knockback is decent. And the Scatter the Weak comes out as well. They're not able to kind of utilize this right now. They've only got a certain amount of time left on this Rift Herald.
And they're giving Slater control over bot side. Miru will answer in mid lane, so it looks like the rotation is just like, screw top. We're going to try and take mid tower instead, which honestly could work out pretty well, but Levi now here.
Oh, Levi does pop down the Cyclone to make sure he's able to try and get away from this one here. They're tanking this turret very much, way too long, and it's just all kind of falling apart right now. They're going to lose 2. They may even lose more as Kiaya TP down on top of that ward. Not quite able to get much else. He does go all out. Bomb, try to see if he can just maybe snip him down. Gets knocked back for his efforts. Flashes away. The Ignite. Oh, Jimmy, the Smite. And now the Ignite. The Magnet Storm comes in. They're going to try and take down the Kiaya. They finally do. But that wave is huge. And Seo and Lions, they have to leave.
They got to get the hell out of here. Seo, you have flash, but I don't know if you want to burn it on this play.
They have much bigger health bars than you, and there's a lot more of them. You need to back away from that play. And what started off so brightly for R7, that was 4v5 because Slater's just PvE.
I mean, it was an absolute mess across the board from R7. Target selection was completely off. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. They're overextending. So, like, watching this play, right? a nice initial play coming through to get the stun on Levi and set him up. But watch the ult from Bong. It actually gets completely used onto the clone, which means that then Odie overextends with no follow-up. Levi's able to step away as Palet's able to come in and set them up as well. And now you've got Kiaya, who's able to TP in behind them thanks to that fantastic ward that R7 knew was there, and then follow up on this play. And as you say, like, yes, it was 4 versus 5, but you've only got Seo arriving now to this fight, which is already over.
This is just GAM finding comfortability in this game. Is GAM saying, look, we are happy the way our composition works, we are happy to take these fights, because you can see how good they are when they're able to get themselves together, utilize the CC they have. And honestly, it's been really just kind of down to the fact that Levi and Kiaya have been able to kind of link up so effectively, and then Palet's kind of joining into the fray now that the laning phase is over.
Yeah, honestly, like, this is Levi kind of showing his comfort on this champion, even set behind, but Palet,
he's going to be able to get out of that one. He's still a Rakan, and you see the lane economy snapshot presented by MasterCard. Just everyone winning here on the side of GAM.
Yeah, and that is shocking. As you said, like we were about to say, Levi was set behind pretty massively thanks to the early setup, had to burn his flash, but has done a really good job of being able to counteract a lot of the plays that Odie wants to go for, getting, apart from, well, the mid lane play, but getting those kills back. Now starting to set his team up, getting control for Kiaya in that top side as well. And unfortunately for R7, you're kind of in a rock and a hard place at this stage, because you want to try and play this big dive, like launch yourself in onto everyone, but with GAM having control of the map and the tempo advantage, that becomes hard to do when it's not front to back.
They're coming in from all sides, but maybe we're not the ones getting collapsed upon. Maybe you are. There's the Cataclysm coming down. They haven't killed off the turret just yet. Now they have a flash away by Audi. As you can see, Miru finally coming in, steals away the quickness, trying to jump in here on top of the tanks. You got Levi going down first. There's a good needlework here. Good scat of the week, though. Gings them all right back into the hands of the Xayah, and now they can turn into this fight. R7 thought they had an opportunity, but GAM say no as they take themselves a 3-for-1.
It was a little bit messy from GAM, but they still come out on top thanks to that gold lead, and now you're starting to move in towards this tier 2. Odie and Seo, I don't think you can hold on to this. That's going to be 2 towers going across the GAM.
It just feels like every time they go for something, the mobility and the CC available to GAM just makes it so difficult to walk into them. And again, you see it so many times in these last few fights where R7 are kind of half committing, half not.
Yeah, I think this is where, again, it's just a bit unfortunate on the timing from R7. They would have liked to have Miru there that little bit sooner. Cassie doesn't have the unleashed power, so we'll just, I mean, casually do 2/3 of Odie's health bar.
Without it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is why, again, like, the Silas would have worked out relatively well if they hadn't been a Syndra on the opposite side. But see here, Palet goes in. The fact that Palet, like, you just can't get the damage down. Seo being zoned away by Kiaya means they can't actually finish off the Rakan. The quickness coming out as well to keep Odie in check. And here, Miru, yes, you get a nice quickness in return, but you've all just set yourselves up. Kiaya is too tanky at this stage, and then that scatter of the week into the follow from the grand entrance from Palet is just absolutely perfect.
I mean, the big thing I'm looking at right now in this team fight is look at Slater and Cotty. They basically had full HP. They untouched in that entire thing. Yes, you're getting a huge amount of damage onto Levi, onto Cotty, or sorry, into Kiaya, but that is not the priority targets. It needs to be on the Xayah. We never want to see a Cataclysm unless it's on the Slater.
But that's the big thing, right, is when you have access to these like terrain, all-terrain effects, like the Cataclysm, like the Weaver's Wall from Talia, a huge amount of it has to be a case of, hey, I want to try and catch the key targets, the carries in the back. Because if I don't, well, now I've just actually offered a defensive wall for them to play behind. That's making it more difficult for Seo to get access to them, Miru to get access to them, right? Like, you actually have to try and make sure that you're trapped in there with them. And I think that's where we're missing on some of the these terrain-altering ults that we've seen. Just haven't been as effective as teams would have liked it to be.
7,000 gold lead now. 2 items here for both the carries of GAM, Kati and Slater picking themselves up. Leandri's Anguish and a Merlin Nomicon, and of course the Navori Quick Plays and the Kraken Slayer respectfully. I mean, it's getting hard because you're just a full item behind, and it feels like you're gonna need either a miracle team fight or a straight up a mistake from GAM for R7 to come back into this. And now Bong's being caught out.
But what can he do?
Oh, what can he do? Because he is getting bursted down and deleted from the map. He even tried to use the ultimate there to try and heal up something with the Riftmaker. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, the Morellonomicon's already come in for Kati, so Miru and Bong going to have a much more miserable time. Even the Gore Drinker on Odie is not going to be too happy about it as well. So across the board, GAM have kind of said, hey, look, we're perfectly happy to go for this. Now Rift Herald on the bot side going to crack up in another tier 2 for GAM. I mean, GAM are looking to rewrite the history books. They do not want to let another MSI happen right here and show that the VCS is actually a powerhouse region at World's playing stage.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you look at Team Wales obviously flying high at the moment in the winners bracket already towards the elimination match, but I mean, GAM were kind of that team that we always love to talk about. They unfortunately, you know, for the last few years haven't been able to kind of, you know, be at international levels. They've come back this year. Very disappointing at MSI, but they're not letting this Worlds go just yet.
And I think a lot of people are kind of disappointed to see how GAM performed in their last series against PSG Talon, where it was like, oh, well, we expected them to try and fight back, to find those opportunities. Sorry, not PSG Talon, opposite side Loud. Yes. Whereas like, oh, we expect them to have this like stellar performance. They're going to try and play aggressive, like give us that BCS style. But Slater not having the best performances against Root, now looking significantly more confident. Catty here as well. This Syndra performance has been wonderful.
Catty going to jump in straight and try and find Miru, but misses the scatter of the week. That's pretty big, and he's going to get a fair bit of damage struck on top of him. The Kaiser goes straight in onto the backside. They're trying to burn down this Syndra, and they will. Cataclysm goes down onto Slater, who has to let the feathers fly. Tries to get away from this entire three-man unit, and it's all a little bit separated. This is good for R7. They're not letting them fight in a 5v5. Now Bomb flashes back over. Pallet tries to go in, but Slater takes down the Gwen. Now in a 4v4, you got double pink wards in there to stop Levi from getting caught out. Audi does have a flag and drag should he need it. They go forward. They're going to try and burst down the Cassante, and they will. 3v4. Crashdown comes in. Levi jumps back over the wall. It's all the movement you can possibly want. Slater sees so many low health bars, and he wants to kill them all. Wants to be a part of his name's sake. And at the end of it all, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of R7, but Dragon's still alive.
GAM needed to not re-engage. R7 stands for round 7 of the fight, and that's where their comfort is. But now we might get a round 8s. Slater still here with Levi, trying to see if they can take the Dragon. GAM still hovering around.
GAM going to go for the Dragon, and everyone else just resets from R7. I mean, look the health bars. I think at that stage they're kind of saying, look, yes, we got 2 kills, we'll take the win, and we'll move on with our lives.
I mean, this is unfortunate for Cassie. Tries to land the blue buff onto Miru, messes that up, then also loses the scatter of the week because of where Miru's positioned, which means that then Caddy's able to get jumped on. Slater does a good job of getting himself out of harm's way in the back line, but if you look on the opposite side, Bong is ripping apart Levi, so he's forced to stand kind of out of harm's way in the bottom and then hide on these pink wards. Bong goes over the wall, he gets put down, and at this stage I think you just call it quits. Both teams need to back away. Kiaya though still has the majority, well, literally his entire health bar, so when he goes over, all the cooldowns are back. We've kind of taken enough of a break here for R7 to gain everything they needed to, and then it's a case again of trying to play on this like edge of a knife as GAM are trying to see if they can take down some of the low health bars, but there is a lot of healing coming through on Miru, and even with Odie again having access to that core drink.
Can I just say a massive shout out to Slater, who fought that entire fight and 100% put out all the DPS he possibly could and didn't lose a summoner. Yep. Like literally lost his ult and that was about it. Now GAM want to turn and burn for the big purple worm, and they want to try and make this fight the last one. There is a ward though in the back of the pit that's going to spot this one out, but I think it might be a little bit too late. Audi finally here, does get scattered the week though. Pallet trying to see if he can look for a bit of a flank. They're turning and burning onto the Cassante, and now they're going to try and burn down the odd one. Audi, excuse me, to come back in now and try and start this fight. Bong has nothing. He's got no real flank potential. Levi just jumps back on top of his face, and it's a double kill here for the side of Slater. GAM are just pulling R7 apart back into the fight. Triple kill for Slater, and GAM put their foot down in this fight and say, no, you are not coming back into this game.
GAM are setting up so well around these objectives. Like vision control is already set up. You know that Pallet is going to be spotted if the Hex flash over the wall. They're turning as a group and immediately jumping onto Audi to get the jungler out of the equation for this, but you've got 2 carries of R7. I don't think you want to try and contest this yet. They're going to back away.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They just poke and prod to see what happens. But watch this, right? Pallet has already swept this area, knows he's totally fine, so he Hex flashes over the wall. Immediately, Odie's turned onto, so then they can try and set up. Pallet is also getting enough of a charm on towards Leons to keep him checked. Bong is in a terrible position for this fight. He's basically spent his entire time running up to the fight, only to have R7 pivot away at the last second so they can turn onto him. Kiaya though, I mean, he's still tanky.
He's still tanky, and they can't stay underneath the turret. This is the thing, you haven't picked up a single turret here as R7. I mean, look at this, and right now you got a bit of a flank coming on from the Wukong, but everyone's just kind of backing away, and with 10,000 gold, or just shy of it, to be perfectly honest, GAM are just feeling comfortable.
Yeah, they just need to continue to put this pressure on. Slater, 3 items now completed. Even the Maw of Malmortius on this side, because he's like, oh, well, a lot of this damage is, well, Gwynsu's Kaisa, she's going to have a ton of AP. You're looking at the Silas, the Gwen, so perfectly safe now for Slater, which means with the extra summoner spells he's been able to hold on to for so long, he's going to be fine. And now it's just a case of dot your I's and cross your T's. take the top tower, push in mid, keep the pressure up, and just make sure there's no real opportunity for R7 to find an outnumbered fight in their favor.
Because that's the thing, around that Dragon Pit, it was very much kind of isolating someone out in a 3v1, then Bong was able to stay alive and kind of go for something there, but in a straight 5v5, you just haven't got the damage. You just haven't got the money in your pockets to be able to fight this GAM team. And GAM looking exceptionally powerful right now, looking comfortable pushing forward. They will get an objective bounty outside the first tower for R7. But I mean, it could be too little too late because they're looking at their base being taken down as Miru throws away a Everfrost a little bit too far away. There's going to be Pallet taking a fair chunk of damage as he tries to go in with the quickness. They still have the Flash Magnet Storm, and you can see now, yes, the inhibitor was taken, but the Gwen is still going. And this is where R7 could maybe start to capitalize on the chaos. They will get the TP out of, I believe it's Kiaya coming in. Yes, it is, and that's going to be there kind of taking that particular objective. But I mean, for R7, they're not out of it just yet. And the longer this game goes, you do have to feel like GAM need to start putting the pedal to the metal.
I mean, you've got 40 seconds until Soul, right? And that's kind of where that
I'm an
pedal
optimist.
meets metal. And,
I'm an optimistic man, all right?
All right, yeah. Well, yeah, I think this is where it starts to become a little bit more difficult because GAM, you kind of wanted to reset around about that time anyway, to come back on the map, to be able to threaten this next dragon. And you can kind of look at this where R7 are positioned. They're afraid to even walk out of their own jungle because they know River essentially belongs to GAM right now.
Essentially does, and get a couple of item completions. Voice Staff is nice for Bong, but I mean, Abyssal Mass is already there. Kati takes away the largest chicken nugget in the box, and the largest chicken nugget says, no, I shall not go down to you. This person bought me fair and square, and they shall consume me. But now Miru and Bong trying to just walk up as the solo laners here. They are tanky enough to be able to try and, you know, maybe face check, but I mean, you have to fight here as R7. You don't really have a choice.
The thing is, though, GAM haven't set up in the same manner as they had before, where, like, Pallet having a flank. He's kind of playing frontline right now. Misses the knockup as well.
Here we go. They're going to go in. Smite confirms that's the Hex Soul. There's the double knockback, and immediately Audi is dead. They're going to try to get in with a flashback to Storm. Ooh, that was good damage, though, coming in from Bong, but it's just too little too late. Triple kill comes in here for Levi, and there's going to be a full house. Trips on dubs, double into triple, and the ace. GAM get everything. They'll push up mid, and they'll end the game.
I mean, it was one last hurrah from R7, and it nearly worked out, but unfortunately, Bong couldn't quite get the damage that he needed out across the line after being set behind early, and now it's the victory lap for GAM as they walk the minions home.
Yeah, they walk the minions home. They even get the full applaud from their minions as they start to smash down these Nexus turrets. That's game one of this best of three as R7 step one step closer to elimination. GAM keeping themselves alive in the World's 2023 playing stage as they look to try and redeem themselves here in the losers bracket.
Yeah, Odie will try and pad the KDA, but not even GAM will give them that. Brilliant stuff from GAM coming into this rough early start coming through, but they're able to bring it back, make sure they're getting control over these lanes. And I mean, from the initial hiccup that we saw over jungle in the mid lane, after that, it was kind of clean sailing for GAM.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you hit the nail on the head. It felt like they got that, you know, R7 got that one good gank in mid. Everyone kind of patted themselves on the back, and then nothing really happened for the next 5 minutes or so, 6 minutes even, which meant that everything stabilized. Flashes came back up, everyone got picked up their first few items, and then GAM just were the